Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sabres to the Future. We are going to discuss one of our prospects. It's due. And this is why, guys, I've organized the channel this way. I looked and I said, my goodness, I haven't talked about a prospect in a week. You know, a prospect not on the team. So, tonight, we will discuss, here comes the clip, Tyson Kozak. And you can see there, he is currently 19 years old, 5'11", 173 pounds. Drafted, guys, drafted in the 7th round, 193rd overall in the 2021 NHL entry draft. Another hit for Kevin Adams here, guys, and I'll explain that in a second, my opinion anyway. So 19 years old, and he's looking good. Any of you that seen the Prospects Challenge, seen this guy, and I picked him as a dark horse, you might recall, to do something, and he did. He looked really good in that tournament. He looked good. So, let's see what they say about him at Elite Prospects. Offensively, he plays between checks, providing himself with just enough space to fire a two-touch or catch and release wrister. Without the puck, he brings a bit of physicality and consistent motor. While not a play killer, he's constantly in a supporting position and identifies the next play immediately. So what we'll do, we'll look at a bit of, and I'd like to know what you guys thought of him in that tournament, really. I mean, I can't be the only one that was impressed with him. I mean, he looked like a threat to cut the squad in the way he looked there, you know? I mean, I know that wasn't going to happen, but he earned himself, before that, he earned himself an entry-level contract, you know? So let's take a look at his numbers. Okay, and you can see that when he was playing with kids his age, he was doing good. You know, you can see it under 15s. I'm guessing he was 14 right there in 2015, 2016. It's about 7 years, right? 6 years ago, and he's 9, so he's about 13. He was playing in the under 15s. He had 24 points in 33 games. Then at 14 years old, 14 turning 15, I'm guessing, he was 36 games played, 28 goals, 29 assists for 57 points. And then in the under 18s the following season, he was 44 games, 35 points. The next year in the under 18s, big step up, 26 goals, 46 assists, 72 points in 40 games. And then in Portland, nothing, goose egg there in 5 games. Playoffs, same thing, by the way. So he didn't have much luck there. But the next year, some numbers started to happen in Portland. 63 games, 13 goals, 16 assists, 29 points. And 18 games, 11 points. And then we go down to after he was drafted, right? And you see 66 games played, 32 goals, 37 assists for 69 points. And not much happening down at the bottom, guys. There, you just see there's, the Team Manitoba, WHL Cup, nothing happening there. 5 games, nothing happening there. So his numbers got really good last year. And guys, this is another centerman. This is another centerman. It's crazy how deep we're going to be at center, even for the 4th line, 3rd line in the future. We're setting ourselves up here because this guy could be a Buffalo Sabre in the future, even if he was drafted in the 7th round. It's really up to the kid after that, how driven he is and how focused he is to get there and make it. So let's take a look just at a little insight from some important guys. Here we go. It was an excellent year for him, Sabres Director of Player Development Adam Mayer said. The type of player that brings a really, really good blend of grit and two-way play. And Adam Mayer would know about that, guys. Kozak, 19, earned a positive review from Rochester Americans assistant coach Michael Pekka during Buffalo's summer development camp in July. Watching him out there, you'd think he went into the top 3 rounds, to be honest with you. The kid's impressive. He's quiet. He's unassuming. He's a real hockey player. He does everything right on the ice. The boys in our development, guys, are, we always get caught up with the first rounders, right? We do. I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody. We get caught up with, okay, we're so loaded with talent and this and that. But let's try and remember the Detroit Red Wings when Pavel Datsyuk and guys like this, when they brought up these guys, and some of these guys became superstars on their team that were drafted very low. And if we can start having an organization that manages to pull out of the lower rounds the diamonds, we're going to be a successful franchise for a very, very long time. If we can manage to do that, it doesn't depend on that, but if we can manage to do that, it's just going to make life so much easier, guys, at the draft table in the future. We're just going to feel like no matter what Adams picks, that we're going to get somebody good. You know what I mean? And this kid, I mean, I was watching him, really watching him at that tournament, and I was like, you know, he played really good. And I can't remember how many goals he got. Didn't he get 3 or 4 goals? He got like 3 in 3 games, didn't he? Unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it was 2. Can't remember. But I was really, I know I was impressed with his play. He showed up, it seemed, every single game. There were certain guys that showed up every game. He was one of them. And the games that I seen him in. And he actually doesn't have the size I like for a centerman, but he sure as hell had the speed, I noticed when he was out there. He had the, it just seemed he had the sense, knowing what he was doing out there. I mean, for a guy that was drafted in the 7th round, I don't see how we can go wrong here. I really don't. If we can get a 4th liner out of this guy. I'm not thinking first, second line, guys. You know what I mean? Even 3rd. I'm thinking for our 4th line in the future. Who's going to be our centerman in the future on our 4th line? You know, something we have to talk about, because when the Sabres are making a deep run eventually, you got to remember that team in 06, we had 4 lines going. We had a machine going back then. And we got to get there again, where there's no line on the ice that we have to just be bored with every time they're out there. And I'm not saying that's what the 4th line will do this year. No, I mean, they might really surprise this year, be really, really good. But they're aging. Okposo's aging. Gergensen's is aging. These guys are not most likely going to be there when we have our deep run. They're most likely going to be retired. Maybe within the organization doing something, but they most likely will be retired by that point. Could this be our centerman of the future? It could be. It might well be. I mean, he might just come into camp next year and really, I don't know him personally, but when I hear guys like Mayer and Pekka noticing him, it's a really good sign. So we don't just have guys, we don't just have Savoy and Kulich, and you know, we have other guys in our system that we got to talk about sometimes. This is one of them that could surprise. Not saying he'll be a Buffalo Sabre for sure, but if he is one day, you heard it here first. How's that? All right? All right, guys. That's it for this episode. I've got a few more videos coming your way. I was going to laze out tonight, and I'm fighting through the lazy mentality. I got to get some videos out to you. See you there.